What's up, Jags fans? What a day to talk Jags. I mean, didn't get the result we wanted in week 4, but I don't think everything's going to hell immediately. So we have the film loaded up. I think I can convince you by the end of this show that we're okay. Before we get into the film, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the only way you get notifications when the shows go live. It's the only way that you know when the live shows start. This is a fan interactive show. I try to get to all of the comments, and I try to get to everyone on here. I just love hanging out with Jags fans. I'm a Jags fan myself, so it's a great time for me. Follow the Twitter and the Instagram. It's fun stuff there as well. But we're going to get to the film today. I mean, there's a lot on the film, and I know you guys watched the game. I know everyone has thoughts and feelings about it, but I don't think there's too much to be concerned about. Before we get to that, William is the first one in the chat. There's some arguing on who the first one in the chat was, and William was the first one in the chat. However, Nolly Full Cab was the first channel member in the chat. So, Nolly Full Cab, thank you for being a channel member. I see Philip Butcher is also here, channel member, spamming the emojis. So, look, let's just jump right into the film. I'm going to get to some of the comments, but again, I do want to get to some of the good, and then I will talk about maybe some of the stuff we can improve on, okay? So that'll be how we do this one here, all right? So this is the play I think everybody thought was the best, okay? This was at the beginning of the game. It gave us hope. It gave us thoughts that maybe we were on to something here. Look, Jags are in there, just simple 4-2-5 formation. You have your 9 technique Trevon Walker right here. Ooh, let's go back to yellow. And let's get our pencil a little bit smaller. How does this look? That's still pretty big here. Here. Okay. Look at this. I'm getting better. Trevon Walker here. All right. You got Roy Robertson-Harris playing head up on the guard. Devon Hamilton playing outside shoulder of the opposite guard. And then you have Josh Allen playing outside, probably the 7 technique here. All right, so this is pretty standard formation. Devin Lloyd, Foysadia Lukin, who, for all the talk about the speed that these guys have, the rain definitely slowed them down. But we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so this is pretty basic formation. Probably the best play of the game here. Little RPO. They've been doing that all game. Was that That's Gotsis. Sorry, guys, not Roy Robertson-Harris. A tip there by Darius Williams. A catch by Andre Cisco. And this is what Andre Cisco did his entire career at Syracuse. I mean, he was just a magnet for the ball, and he just always made plays. And you guys know me. I'm always talking about how an opportunist defensive back, there's something about them. Something about a guy that's just always at the right place at the right time. And Cisco is that. The fact that he didn't play every single snap last year is so disappointing. But great play here by Darius Williams. I mean, he jumps this route. I mean, for all of the headaches that A.J. Brown gave us in this game, this was a pretty good jump there by Darius Williams right here. Pretty good jump. Look, and there's a couple defenders there. I mean, he got kind of sandwiched in. Is that Shaq Griffin who lays the – or no, Rayshawn Jenkins lays the hit. That wasn't even A.J. Brown. Regardless, great catch. Returned it all the way for the touchdown. The Eagles, look, the Eagles fans were booing their team because they thought they were about to get taken to the woodshed by the Jags. We started out strong, didn't finish so great. But this is probably the best play of the game. I mean, look, for a Jaguars defense that could not create turnovers last year, this was pretty impressive start to the season for the Jags getting turnovers. Look, I like how everyone's blocking down the field. Look at this block by Devin Lloyd, okay? Watch Devin Lloyd right here. Can you see him on your screen? Yeah. Watch Devin Lloyd after the interception, okay? This is a guy who's been waiting his whole life to block. Watch him. Look at this. Makes the catch. Some people are celebrating. Some people are reacting. Not Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd is looking for a body to hit. I love to see it. Now watch 33. And goodbye. That's a pancake block, boys. We have offensive players that have had pancake blocks all year, and Devin Lloyd's got himself on the list. And look how pumped he is about it. This is what you like to see. That's what you like to see. Ooh, great block. Great block. Now, there are some good plays after this, but this is when the celebrating seemed to stop where I was. And I was watching the game with a lot of people that you guys would know, actually. Philip Butcher says, United, break it down, Jason-san. You know I will, United. Cameron Voisvert says, honestly, for having 4 turnovers prior to the final drive and still having the possibility to drive down and tie the game against the best team in the league doesn't sound too terrible. The Jags are good. Not to mention that it was raining. We were on the road. And you're right, we didn't really do the game plan. Now, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was pretty angrily tweeting during the game. If you follow my Twitter, you saw what I was kind of saying. I was pretty upset in the Jags game plan. I really think that the coaches did the team a disservice by not being as prepared as they could have been. You guys know me. I don't get on coaches very often, but we're going to talk about some things that I thought the Jags should have done better. And obviously the turnovers were a big deal, but I don't feel like they exploited the Eagles where the Eagles showed they were weak in the past. And we'll get to that in a second. Eddie says I was close to being first. And okay, well, what a stinker from Timmy Devil 999. He says 16 was complete disappointment. We watched him dismantled in this game. Disgusting to play. Fat Boy Shot says Tony and Pete were 100% right. Our D-line is thin as F. And Roy had 66 snaps out of 80. So here's where I feel like we probably should have done a little bit more. Look at this. So we talked about how in our preview show, if you guys watched the preview show, I had my buddy Mike on. It was a lot of fun. We talked about how even though they have good players on the defensive line, the Eagles showed in all of their games that they were weak defending the interior of the line. Like the inside zone, you could beat them with the inside zone. And the Jags came out at the beginning of the game and tried and did this. Okay, you're going to see a little pre-snap motion from Christian Kirk. You're going to have Evan Ingram here. You're going to have 2 tight ends set with Evan Ingram and Chris Manhertz. You're basically set up in a 12 ace personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends here. You're a pretty heavy offensive line. The Eagles are still kind of respecting the pass. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the box. And this is a loaded box. So this is where we knew the Eagles were going to be weak. So you're going to see here, a little pre-snap motion. Tim Jones lead blocking. I mean, he obviously played the Zay Jones role here. But look at this. You're going to see, so kick out. Brandon Sheriff's been absolutely amazing at kick out blocks. Okay, so Brandon Sheriff's going to kick out, and he's going to lead the way. And you're going to get blocks. I mean, this is hat on hat. You knew this play was going to work. Tim Jones is actually also going to do a lead block. You knew this is where the Eagles were weak, is running on the inside. They'd come out of the game swinging, and, I mean, that's early. It's early. Look, it's raining. It's raining. You knew the Eagles were weak, and yet still you only run the ball like a handful of times. I mean, 8 carries for Travis Etienne, 8 carries for James Robinson. Like, that's not enough. In a game, there wasn't really a point where you were, like, really needing to pass. Like, I know some people are saying that you needed to, like, run the ball against these people. But I don't necessarily think that they loaded the box where we couldn't. So, I don't know. I mean, it was just absolutely just not a well-executed game plan from Peterson. It just wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. This play was working. All right, so this is so the inside zone was working all game. We knew that's where they were weak. This was the very next play. Okay, so we know the inside zone works. Again, we're taking a look at where they're weak. They're weak here. This is where they're weak all day. We can push them off the ball. You're going to see here we're in the same set. We got Manhertz here. We got Ingram here. So the same personnel. We're in that same 12 personnel with ace, okay? 12 ace personnel. Now you're going to see the Eagles with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now they're going to bring an extra defender into the box, right? They're saying we're not going to get beat like that again, but at the same time, they still look weak here. I mean, if you can pull block again, you can go hat for a hat, and you could run it up the middle here. I don't know why we went away from it, ever. So the very next play, you're going to see we're going to try to do an outside toss sweep, and it gets eaten up immediately. Evan Ingram can't hold his block on the outside. Now, Evan Ingram's going to be responsible for this edge rusher right here, right? Pretty basic job. Gets beat. Can't set the edge, gets pushed into the backfield, and not there. Now, James Robinson saw this cutback lane a little late. But look, I'm not blaming him. Now, look, he did have a cutback lane right here. If you notice here, he had a cutback lane. But when you run if you run the outside zone, which is just your typical run play to the outside, I think Robinson sees this. When you run a toss sweep, it's designed to hit out here. And so his secondary read is here. It's not really like a cutback read. So I don't think the toss sweep was the right play here. Look, the outside zone, you hand it off, and then he can read it better. Toss sweep doesn't work. And now we just ran the ball on the inside, and now it's not working. So just absolutely not working. Again, they could have had it here. Jesus King says, I wonder if Hurricane Ian distracted the team. They looked off of their game, and Doug needs to run the football in this kind of weather. Look, again, that was the exact same thing that we were talking about. It was the fact that they needed to run the ball. I know he likes to pass. I really do. I know that's his thing. I know he likes to run to try to set up the pass. But at the same time, you got to be smarter with what you're doing. You really do. It's just, you got to be smarter. Got to be smarter. Fletcher Cox is not as good as he used to be. That's a good point, Ed. That's a good point. In the rain and snow, run the damn ball. The Eagles knew it. That's what I'm saying. The Eagles loaded the box, but I don't think they could have stopped us. Regardless, I just don't think that they could have. And come on. Come on. You got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. Sorry, guys. I got to... All right. Thriller King. I don't know why Doug went away from the run. The thing was it was working. Why pass it in slippery out there? Nobody was going to catch a wet ball. Now, I know. And looks, the pass concepts were working. Now look, for example, some of the pass concepts were working. Look at this play here. This was a pretty well-designed pass concept by Doug Peterson. Watch what happens here with this trips left bunch here. Okay, so the Jags are in 10 personnel shotgun formation. But what is interesting is that this is Christian Kirk in the backfield, so not your typical running back. The Eagles are going to end up playing man. Not a great call to the bunch call because that's hard to defend. So watch this kind of play happen. Great play. This was third down. This was third down, and this is the Jags needed to get to basically the 33. Okay, they need to get to the 33, right? So if we take it back to the beginning, they didn't have to get very far. The Jags need to get to the 33. This is it right here. Okay? Now, they're going to do a great job of clearing out everybody here. Evan Ingram's legit going to run a clear out route here. So, good route concept, all right? Look at what they do. They're going to run Christian Kirk behind. This is your classic bunch just spread. You got one guy coming here, one guy coming across. Ingram's literally just going to destroy this corner. They know they're in man. This linebacker pre-snap's going to have to play through this. And this should be, again, remember, they get to the 33. This should be a first down all day. But look what happens. Trevor throws it into the ground. And look, the ball's slippery. This we punted after this play. If we would have scored here, we could have gone up 21-0. And 21-0 is a completely different game. So I just don't know. Trevor Lawrence is good, but in these conditions against this team, you needed to run the ball more. Inside zone. I know you can't get predictable. I know these coaches know what they're doing, but you can't get too predictable. Another play that worked. Let's see here. This was another play that worked from the offense. This was another good call by Doug Peterson. They're going to run a smash concept, okay? So for those of you that don't know, A smash concept is where essentially you run one player to the flat right here, and then you run one player to the corner. And when you get this look of this is like a cover 3 or they call it a one high look, because this is one defender right here in the middle of the field. Everyone else is walked down. The rest of the 10 are down here. So when you see one safety in the middle of the field, that's called one high. So this tells Trevor that the Eagles are either in cover 3, right? Or they're in just man across the board with one middle free safety and then manned up. Okay? Regardless, the smash concepts makes this corner right here declare, is he going to cover the flat or is he going to cover the corner? And whichever one he picks, Trevor throws it to the other one. Okay? So that's what a smash concept is. All right, so watch at the snap. Jags got trips receivers, 10 personnel. They're actually going to run a pretty fancy smash here. Okay? They're going to have one player sitting here, one player running an out. So now the linebacker has to be disciplined enough to either follow his slot receiver to the corner, or this corner has to be disciplined enough in his cover 3 to keep bailing and see this smash coming from the inside. Okay? It's a great concept for a reason. No one reads it. Jamal Agnew, wide open. I mean, this was the right read. This was the right throw. This was it. Maybe could have gotten a targeting call there. But look at this concept. I mean, this is a great concept. When you see one high, this is what you want to do. Trevor makes the right read, wide open, great throw. I mean, this was it. Like, this is why I'm not concerned. I mean, the Jags ran a lot of what they needed to do against the Eagles. It just didn't work out, okay? They had the turnovers. They had the fumbles. It is what it is. All right, last play we're going to show of, like, good stuff, okay? And I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but I do want to at least, like, point out, like, some of the good pass plays, okay? So here you're going to see the Jags lined up pretty tight again. So we had the threat of the run, okay? You got one tight end here, Dan Arnold, one tight end, Evan Ingram. Then you have a Marvin Jones Jr. who was MIA, and then you have Christian Kirk here. So this is a pretty tight formation. James Robinson in the backfield. Whenever you get a 2 tight end set like this, you're going to expect to have 8 Eagles in the box. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So not a surprise here. Like when you line up 2 tight ends, you're asking for an 8-man box. And here's the thing, and it's a common misconception in football and a common misconception in X's and O's, is just because the other team puts 8 in the box doesn't mean you can't run the ball. Like, that doesn't mean you can't run the ball. Like, if you have 8, block them. I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 guys. So if every single one of these guys lined up on the line of scrimmage blocks their responsibility, you still have Kirk and Jones who could take care of any auxiliary players, and you should have a gap. Okay? So just because there's 8 in the box doesn't mean they're not going to run the ball. Eagles are expecting runs, so the Jags are going to run a play-action boot here, okay? This play was so well-designed and so well-timed on the call that look at how open everybody is. Pre-snap motion, Evan Ingram, fake toss sweep, and at this point, you've won the play. I mean, no one even knows what's happening. This guy kind of gets it. Looks like he's doing a little electric slide right here, but they're in trouble. You got a guy running here, a guy running here. The Eagles are in trouble on this play, and they know it. They bit hard on this James Robinson pump fake. You got 2 guys open. You got Dan Arnold. You got Christian Kirk. And then you got this guy, Marvin Jones, clearing out. I mean, this is it. I mean, he could have hit either one of these guys. He took the easy throw to Dan Arnold. Great throw upfield. Kirk gets a block. And Arnold's just not fast enough to get past 33. But again, another good play design. This is why I'm not freaking out, guys, because I know that we didn't look great. I know we had errors, but the play calling is good. And all last year, I was not happy with the play calling. I've been happy with the play calling in Jacksonville in a decade. I'm not even kidding. The play calling has been good this year. This is a great play call. I get the fact that people want the Jags to run the ball more. They should have ran the ball more. You look at a team like the Colts, who their whole identity is running the ball. And they run the ball when they're down like 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And they come back. So just because you're down, just because the box is loaded, doesn't mean you have to throw the ball. But we do have to accept the fact that Doug Peterson is essentially a passing game coordinator coach. So just go ahead and wrap your minds around that. This is not something that's going to change. Regardless of the fact that we have good running backs it's not going to change the fact that Doug Peterson's going to want to throw. So the fact that it was raining on the road and Trevor had a bad game just kind of was unlucky. I'm sorry I'm backed up on the comments. I'm going to try to get to them before I get to the next film here. Philip Butcher says, well said, Christian. Christian says, I'm really not worried about this team. Weather was bad, but this team is young. Without 5 fumbles, this scheme would have worked. Okay, that's fair. And look, we're going to look at the fumbles. We're going to see like whose fault they really were. Trevor gets some blame, but I think Trevor's getting a little too much blame for this. A little too much blame. So I think we just need to pump the brakes a little bit on that. So yeah, I'm with Philip Butcher. Well said, for sure. Timmy Devil, 16's deep ball is not good. They have been off. I mean, we just watched him throw to Agnew 25 yards down the field. He's okay. It's hard to throw a deep ball. I mean, we looked at Jalen Hurts' PFF breakdown of passing, and he's attempted like 5 passes over 20 yards all season. So deep balls are hard to complete. I know we want him to be better. He's a first-round pick. He's not Jalen Hurts. I get all that. But they're hard to complete for a reason. Call me optimistic, says Chef Florida Boy. But I'm more excited how close the game was. We only won 4 games from how close the game was. We only 4 games from the Urban Meyer era. I don't know what you mean by that, Chef. I know what you're saying. You're optimistic. A lot of us said pregame. I had my buddy Mike on. We did a little live show podcast on last week. Go back and watch it. We were right about everything from where Devon Hamilton. How many times did I say watch the Goddard screen? And they ran the Goddard screen like 15 times on us. We knew that's what they wanted to do. The breakdowns were there. Listen, I love Mike Caldwell, but without Fatu Kasi, when he got hurt, that run defense fell apart. I mean, Miles Sanders torched us. I mean, what was his yards in the game? 27 carries, 134 yards. See, and then Jalen Hurts had 16 carries. So between their top 2 running backs, Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, yes, I'm calling Jalen Hurts a running back, they had 43 carries between Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. 43 carries. I mean, that's significant when you compare that our top 2 running backs had 16. So you got to listen. It seems like the Eagles had the better game plan here. They used A.J. Brown. They used Dallas Goedert on short plays. Besides those 2 guys, they didn't really have much production. Miles Sanders had 2 catches out of the backfield for 22 yards. Devonta Smith had 3 catches for only 17 yards. And that was it. So it kind of seemed like they had the right game plan. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell almost had as many carries as James Robinson, their third back. So I'm not going to harp on that too much, but yeah, as someone said earlier, run the damn ball. Jeremy Price says, not going to lie, you teach the game very well. Oh, thank you. He says, you should make a second channel teaching things like coverage and what they mean. Jeremy, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I would love to do that. I've been like, it's been hard finding time to do this channel, man. My job, I work in athletic administration, so basically like organize like sports and leagues and things like that. This time of year, I'm so busy, and it sucks because this is when the Jags have the most going on. So like, man, if I could sit here and break down film all day, I would, but I can't. It's my busy season. And then my slow season is the Jags slow season. So that's why you should subscribe to the channel, because I'm out here like talking Jags in February. And half of you aren't here. Moon Illusions is here. Moon Illusions is always here. He says, Trevor's deep ball to Kirk in week 2 is also good. That's true. It's true. We can pick him. Jag Gator says, could you beat UCF Jaguar in a fight? Huh. Man, I haven't been in a fight since probably high school, Jag Gator, so I don't know how I would do in a fight, to be honest with you. Yeah. Jesus King says, Ingram is our fastest tight end. Yeah, we would be the fastest tight end on a lot of teams. Haas, what's up, Hashim? He says, Jason W. Like as Win, Jason Win. Yeah, thank you, Haas. I appreciate that. Sorry I'm late, but dude, WTH says 21 Baltus. 21, don't get worried, all right? Don't get too worried. Let's take a look at Trevor Lawrence's first fumble here, okay? And again, I'm not too worried. Like, this is stuff that doesn't happen very often, okay? I think this is just, listen, if you look at any, like, team that had a championship run, not saying the Jags will have a championship run, but if you do, and you go back and look at any team that had a championship run, you'll find games where the quarterback and the team and the offense had bad games. That's why people watch the NFL more than college. That's why the NFL is a money maker, because in college, if you have one bad game like this, you're done. You're out. Unless you're Alabama or Georgia, you're out. In the NFL, everyone's a professional, so you have to have enough snaps to go around. All right, so this is Trevor's first fumble here, and this was just a bad snap. Now, was this Trevor's fault? Was this Fortner's fault? I don't know. But that's the thing, is like, everyone on the local radio, everyone that talks about it is blaming like the Jags or blaming Trevor Lawrence for this. Like, is this Trevor's fault? It's raining and there was a snap exchange fumble with a rookie center. Do you guys realize what's happening here? This is a second-year quarterback and a first-year center. You don't think there's going to be a snap exchange snafu at some point? Is this Trevor's fault? Maybe. Is it Fortner's fault? Maybe. But I don't expect this to happen all year. And yeah, this was big for the Jags. It was the first fumble. Lost the ball here. Look, that's going to happen. No team is immune from that happening. I'm not making excuses. And here's one thing I've been hearing a lot of. Everyone keeps saying there's no moral victories. Like, there absolutely is moral victories. Like, where did this sentiment of there's no moral victories come from? Why do you think they call them moral victories? They're not victories, they're moral victories. Like we talked about, if you asked any Jaguar fan preseason, hey, you're going to go up against the best team in the NFL, on the road in terrible conditions, and it's going to be a close game, we would all take that. But now all of a sudden, there's no moral victories? That's exactly what a moral victory is. Like, I don't feel bad about the Jags, and we lost. That's a moral victory. I don't know. I just don't get it. I think people just like to say that. There's no moral victories. Whoa, you're like, there's a lot of like ex-NFL players on the radio that keep saying that. There's no moral victories. It's like, we get it, tough guy. Everything's an extreme to you. But I'm a fan, and I watched this team suck for 20 years. I have moral victories. All right, I have to get off this soapbox. Without play action, the Eagles lose, Chef Florida boy. Thriller King says, our defensive line depth might be a weakness. Yeah, but I think we kind of knew that going into the season. I think we did. Tallahassee, channel member Tallahassee. Always shout out the channel members. You guys are the real ones. He says, I'm here and late. We should be 4-0. I like it. Rico Sock says, both our tight ends are fast. Still a young team. We finally see the talent with Dougie P. The future's bright. Philip Butcher says, 1 home game versus 4 road games to start the season. Come on, we would all take 2-2. Yeah, you're right, for sure. I think we all would. And like being on the top of all those like power rankings and things like that. All right, let's take a look at 2 plays that I think were pretty significant as far as our defense. I'm trying to, how did they get down okay, so the fumble gave them short field position. So they really didn't have any like great plays. They really didn't. Like, nothing was really significant. They had like a little run here, a little pass here. Nothing was significant. And this is the play they're going to score on right here, okay? So again, sorry about the quality. I mean, that's their backup running back, and it's really their third running back, because Jalen Hurts is their one of their top 2 running backs. But we just cannot let this happen. I mean, you're in 11 personnel as the Eagles, 1 tight end, 1 running back, and they're just going to run an inside zone right up the middle. Cisco does it. I mean, that's on Cisco. I mean, look, they came out and they wanted to play man. Look, I almost said Todd Wash. Mike Caldwell, decided to play him back. So listen, football is this simple. Let's count the blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders. So this is 6v6. It's not complicated. It's not. Okay, so what needs to happen is one of the Jaguars needs to defeat their block to win the play. For the offense to win, the Eagles need to win all of their blocks to win the play. Okay? So if the Eagles win the play and all of their blockers block all the Jags, our safety net is Andre Cisco. Now, we love Andre Cisco. He had a pick 6. He carried his weight. But he's the emergency tackler here. He cannot miss his tackle. We are just covering everywhere. We're worried about A.J. Brown. Maybe we have a spy on Hurts. But it's 6v6 football. If you look what happens, the team just lost all of their battles here. And everyone got blocked. No one could get off a block. And Cisco missed his safety valve tackle. And we gave it up. You know, look, the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines for a reason. There it is. Listen, can't hate it. Can't hate it whatsoever. Tallahassee says, the future's bright. M. Bosworth says, how much does it cost to get this film? Bosworth, it's not that expensive. So it used to be where you had to pay for what was called NFL Game Rewind, and that ran you like $100 for the year. To be competitive, the NFL actually lowered their price and then rebranded it as NFL Plus. I'm sure you've seen the ads for it, NFL Plus. They actually lowered the price to $70. So for $70, you can rewatch all of the film. Now, I will give you a little caveat. There's only certain film that the NFL allows you to use on YouTube. You can show other film, like the sideline film or what's called the broadcast film, and that's what basically is shown during a game. But if you use it in a pre-recorded video, they like basically demonetize it. And if you show it in a live show, there's a chance the YouTube algorithm could pick it up and then shut your stream down mid-show, which has happened here in the past. I mean, come on, it happened. If you get the end zone film, this is why I usually use the end zone film, is because they don't care about that, and you can use that, and we can do it on live shows, and that's what allows us. So I know sometimes on pass plays, we can't get the best angle of the route concepts, because I'm a big route concept guy, but it's so that we keep the stream up. Shay's in the chat. Oh, thank you, Shay. Shay's a huge Jags fan, so I love Shay's input. He says, which fumble do you think had the greatest impact on the momentum of the game besides the last one? I think the one where he like it was the like self-inflicted fumble, the one where it was like 4th down and we had the first down wrapped up. I think that's kind of where everyone kind of feels was there. Let me see if it was this one or not. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that one. Let's see here. Sorry. Hold, please. It's here somewhere, right? Wasn't that fumble? Philip Butcher with the $10 super chat. Oh, man. He says, I will help with that $70. Hashtag support our guy United. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Thank you. Philip, you've always been a good supporter and always been here in the channel. I love to see it. Thank you, Philip. You know I appreciate it. Shay, I'll have to find it. I can't find it. But it was the one where Trevor, I don't know why I can't find it on the replay here. But it was the one where he... Oh, it's this one right here. The one where he threw it, basically. Was this it? I think I found it. Okay, this is the first one. The first fumble. Whoa, something's wrong here. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I know this is bad. This is bad live show etiquette right here. We got you here. Don't you worry. Okay. Thank you again, Philip, man. I appreciate that. Okay, this is the fumble I think was the worst, and I think it was the first one. Oh, Cameron Boisvert, welcome, man. You're on the Matt Jones level. I love it. Thank you for being a channel member. Channel members are my favorite people, so thank you very much, Cameron. That is awesome. Christian Paraguin says, yo. Hassall says, easy win soon, lads. Yes, if you're going to the game this Sunday, DM me on Twitter, and I will find you at the stadium, and I will get you a beverage of your choice. Why? Because I enjoy hanging out with Jags fans, and so we'll go somewhere, maybe the Sky Patio. The Bud Zone's getting a little ratchet, so I've kind of been staying away from the Bud Zone, but maybe the Sky Patio or maybe somewhere near the Cabanas. I kind of know somebody at the Cabanas that can maybe get us in. Don't tell the Jaguars, though. This is the fumble I think was the worst. Right here, this one right here. I think you guys all know that it's coming and which one that it is. But this one was the worst right here. Trevor gets pushed out of the pocket. Juwan Taylor kind of loses his block there and just, I mean, look, this is weather, guys. Like, this is weather. Like, this does not happen to Trevor. This is not very Trevor-esque. He doesn't have a history of doing this. This is just a wet ball. Now, Bill Belichick has his quarterbacks dunk footballs in a wet trash can in practice. Maybe Doug Peterson should have done that. Okay, I will give you that. Maybe Doug Peterson should have been more like Bill Belichick. But to be fair, every coach should be more like Bill Belichick. This was what I think, because this was fourth down. He had open receivers on this play. He could have scrambled for the fourth down. The play was like on the 43. So I mean that one was tough, because that one you kind of felt the deflation coming out of the momentum, and I think that's what Shay was asking. But I'd love to get your opinion on that, Shay, as well. Nick F says, honestly, no hurricane carryover and we win the game. Okay, that's fair. Jags History says, I think the Jags make a turnaround this week, and we will forget about the Eagles' loss. So here's my problem, and I don't want to get too much into the preview, because I'm going to do a preview show on Friday. And you guys are all going to be here because you guys love the show, and you guys love me, and you love the Jaguars. But I found an interesting stat. I just want to make sure I read this correctly. We are playing the Houston Texans, and I think we are better than the Texans, and I think we'll win. That being said, Damon Pierce, their rookie running back, has more rushing yards than Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, and Joe Mixon. So luckily you guys, when we did my fantasy draft, you drafted him for me. So I've had Damon Pierce on my team. But the Jags' weakness right now on defense is looking like the run defense. And Damon Pierce can run the ball. And the Texans can run the ball. So hopefully we get them down early, we score early, and we take him out of the game. But I can't say that I'm like super stoked about having to play Damon Pierce as a running back, for sure. Jag Gator says Blake Bortles played better in bad weather. I'd take Trevor Lawrence over Blake. I'd rather hang out with Blake Bortles. He seems like a fun guy. Jags History says Trevor going to throw 3 to 4 touchdowns against the Texans. I like that. Timmy Devil 999 says, we went into last year's game at the Texans thinking it was going to be an easy W. Pump the brakes. Ooh. I don't think it's fair, Timmy, to compare this year's Jaguars and last year's Jaguars. I think we have a much better coach and a much better team, but I get your sentiment. And I don't think the team will go into it lightly. I just think as a fan, I'm expecting a win, but I don't think that. That's another thing that always like bursts my bubble is like, oh, the team was the Jaguars overlooked the Texans. No, this is the NFL. You don't overlook anybody. They're all professionals. You played high school ball, college ball, and professional ball in some instances with those people on your team. You take them seriously, regardless of what the jersey or helmet says. Philip Butcher says he saw how wide open the field was and just dropped it. It happens, man. It's not even that he dropped it, just like slipped out of his hand. Like, I heard someone on the radio was like, should he wear gloves? I'm like, dude, stop. Stop. It's one game. Christian Paraguayan says 30-23 Jags this weekend. Christian, we're going to have a preview show on Friday. Save it. Is there a Darius-type player out there we can play for? Darius-type player out there we can play for? And Duncan Sue's out there. Mako21, welcome, Mako. He says the black guy of Dunn and Drew podcast went to the game in Philly. He said it was absolutely miserable because of the weather. It was much colder and wet than we expected. So the white guy from Dunn and Drew podcast was at the same place I was watching the game, the same establishment. Also there, all the Bold City podcast was there. So it was quite a fun time watching the game, even though we lost. We definitely made the most of our time at that establishment. And hopefully we'll have some of the Bold City guys on. They love the channel. And they want to come on. I was going to have one of them on tonight, one guy you guys would all know, but they're recording their show tonight, so it didn't work out. But we will get them on. They love our channel. I love their stuff, so do it for sure. Stormy Roy says, are you going to bench Pierce? Stormy, I don't know. Like, the team that you guys drafted for me, let me see if I can pull them up real quick. And I want this to be film. I do. I'm not going to get onto my. I hate when people are like, check out my fantasy team. So I'm not going to do that. But I do kind of want to see what y'all think about this, just because you guys drafted them. So take a look here. Okay. Let me get it to where y'all can see. All right, so y'all drafted this team just quickly. Okay, so we are 2-2. I don't know if y'all can see this. We are 2-2, but we are the second highest scoring team in the league. So we're good. And we're like barely second. Okay, so y'all drafted this team here. Patrick Mahomes, we're obviously going to start. Nick Chubb, we're obviously going to start. James Robinson, we're obviously going to start. Debo, we're going to start. I'm going to start Kirk this week, even though he had a bad week last week, because I think that the Jags will throw all over the Texans. Kelsey, we're going to start. This is where we have question marks here, okay? Do we start Tyler Lockett? Do we start Damon Pierce? Or do we start Alan Lazard? Again, these are great questions to have, okay? You want to be in a position where you have like this many options. But it's between Lockett, Pierce, and Lazard. Lockett has been going off with Geno Smith, so I think you have to start him. So it's not even that I want to bench Damon Pierce. I'm just having an embarrassment of riches of good players on this team. Like I said, it's the second highest scoring fantasy team in this league. You guys drafted him. I really want to win because it's a pretty big payday, and we'll have a party here with the winnings. So I want to win. I'm not going to trade them yet because I'm always worried about injuries. So I'm going to keep them just for a couple more weeks, and then around the trade deadline, if everyone's healthy, I might try to shed Lazard or Lockett. That's what I'm thinking. But again, I'm not one of these guys that likes to talk about their fantasy team because it's boring and no one cares, and everyone has 10 fantasy teams. But you guys did draft that team, so I just wanted to at least give you a prediction. All right. Christian Peregrine says, oh, I meant trade like we did in 2017 for Marcel Darius. Okay, so I think more realistically would be signing Ndamukong Suh. And I think if that happens, it's going to happen sooner or later. And I think more it comes down to would Suh want to come here? I think now that we've proven we're a decent team, I think that they will for sure. Butcher says Lazard. Peregrine says Pierce over Lockett. My only problem with Pierce is I think that the Jags are going to get up so big they're going to stop running. I think the Jags will get up, because the Jags have been playing well in the first half. So I think they'll go up 21-0. And the Texans have been playing bad in the first half. So I think the Jags will go up big early, and then they'll have to throw the ball, and then Davis Mills will do what Davis. Brandon Cooks, they were talking on the local radio today. Brandon Cooks has had like 5 or 6 games against the Jaguars and has gone for 100 yards receiving in all of them. I think one game he had 93 yards. But besides that, he had over 100 yards in every game he's played against the Jags. Brandon Cooks is a monster against the Jags. So we'll see how our secondary does against him. Christian Turk has been a godsend for my fantasy team, says Nick Ludwig. The Great Mistake Bozo says, start Chark. I'm about to cut Chark there, Bozo. Philip Butcher, we are in the same money league. Check out my scores and record LOL Saxonville Swagwires. Okay. Wait, is that the same league? No, we're in a different league, Philip. We're in a different league. This league is different than that league. I took our league a little more serious. It was an auction draft. This was a snake draft. Pay Sue, says Fat Boy. Sue Gang. I drafted Jonathan Taylor first of all, and he's been a bust. Okay, let's get to some film here, because I know people that are watching this channel have probably already turned it off if they haven't seen film, because you guys are ADD like me, so we will show it. All right. Miles Sanders touchdown. Let's take a look at this one. It's okay, boys. Listen, you got to be able to have thick skin. That's one thing, and, as a coach, we'd always talk about to the players watching film. You got to have thick skin. If you can't sit in here and watch the film and learn where to get better, you're in the wrong game. All right, so let's take a look at what happens here. I mean, again, poor tackling. Just absolute poor tackling. I mean, you're going to see this is just an inside zone that hits up in the B gap, B gap, and just a Lucan can't make a tackle. Who else is that misses a tackle there? A Lucan, and it looks like maybe Darius Williams. Darius Williams also misses a tackle there. So, I mean, that's good vision by Miles Sanders. For a guy that has done nothing all year, that's just good vision. And again, it's just poor tackling. That's not what the Jags have shown all year. But again, we'll call it a weird anomaly game, and we'll move on here. Did they have a? I mean, they used guys out of nowhere. Like, look at what they do here. I don't know if you know who in that is in the backfield, but that's Trey Sermon. Okay, Trey Sermon in the backfield. Now the Jags are lined up in their base nickel set here, and I mean Trey Sermon's just gonna run for 15 yards. Like I get you're trying to strip the ball here. Lucan and Lloyd are both trying to strip the ball, but dude, you got all these guys missing tackles. You cannot miss tackles like this. I mean, this is just absolutely unexcusable. And I know they're going to get into the film and they're going to talk about how it's unexcusable this is happening, but come on, guys. Like, if you're going to win against good teams, you cannot tackle this way. Shea, channel member Shea, says, what will other teams take away from this film in regards to a script in beating the Jags going forward against our offense or defense, outside run defense? That's a good question, Shea. If I were to put myself in the position of an opposing team's coach, and I've been watching our film all year, this may be where Doug Peterson has the advantage, because where our team is strong and Doug Peterson's tendencies don't align. Where our team is strong is on the inside zone, the short passing game. Trevor, I mean, essentially what the Eagles do. The RPO, the short screens, the passes under 20 yards, the drags. And when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, right? And when the A.J. Brown went over to the Eagles, you were thinking that this guy was going to be a monster on the sideline and he was going to be able to get jump balls in the end zone. But it turns out the Eagles use him as like the slant over the middle, the shallow crosser over the middle. And then running after the catch has been his like MO. So that's our strength. But what Doug Peterson does is he passes the ball 50 times a game. And he runs advanced route concepts and makes you cover. He makes your defensive backs play disciplined, sound football, which opens up your run game. So when Peterson says you pass to win or you pass to set up the run, he means it. I mean, the discipline that the linebackers and the corners and the safeties have to play because of the advanced route concepts, we saw at the beginning of the game with that smash concept. Because of that, you can't stack the box. And so that's where your run opens up. So it's like, do you run to pass or do you pass to run? Is your success in the running game because of your route concepts? Is your route concepts... The Doug Peterson's a good coach for a reason. And he's definitely maximized his talent, because I think at the beginning of the season, any Jags fan would have had us, middle of the road, 6 to 8 wins. And now we're thinking playoffs, winning the division. So that's on Doug Peterson, because we're all pretty big fans. Everyone here in the chat, I have been watching Jags games with for years. We're all pretty big fans. Like, we're pretty good at identifying talent on the roster, and we kind of have a pretty good feel for the talent on the roster. And Doug Peterson has definitely maximized that, in my opinion. Fat Boy Shad says, Sheriff represents nastiness on our O-line. Who represents it on the D-line? Honestly, if you had to pin me for nastiness, I think it's Roy Robertson Harris. And that's a guy that's definitely changed my mind this year. I think Fatu Kasi has it, but it's more of the silent nasty. And I think Trevon Walker will have it when he gets confidence. Great question, though. Thriller King, 2 missed tackles. They have to wrap up and tackle. We can't afford Damon Pierce getting more than 5 yards per carry, or we are going to be in a bad spot. You're right. What happened to Snoop Connor, says Ben Haney? I think he got hurt because what was his name? It was Jamichael Hasty had 2 receptions. I mean, for 22 yards, but yeah, I think he's hurt. Red Sox beat the Rays. Nice. I'd love to see that. I got to say, Kelsey balled out, but Fortner did handle Jordan Davis overall. Yeah, I mean, let's look at another fumble here, because there was one fumble that I think was on the offensive line. Let's see if it was this one here. Sorry, guys. I didn't have much time to prep for this film breakdown. No, we already saw that one. But you guys know I'm good for it. Just make sure. This one's not playing. Oh, there's an amateur hour up in here. Let's see. Okay, so this is the one that, again, so we saw the snafu between Fortner and Trevor, which got to fumble for Trevor because it could have been either one of them's fault. Another one here, they're going to blame Trevor for a fumble, but you guys tell me, it could be, but you guys tell me, like, in your opinion, is this Trevor's fault? Like, it could be. Like, maybe he needs to protect the ball better in the pocket. Maybe he does. And listen, if that's what you think, good. But I see Jawaan Taylor get absolutely whipped for the first time all year. Absolutely whipped. Trevor looking to his left and getting absolutely blindsided by his players supposed to be guarding to his right. I don't know how you can chalk this fumble up to Trevor. Maybe you can. Malcolm Brown's not on the roster, Christian. No. Maybe you can, but I mean, that's poor blocking. And look, we talked about, they're going to send the running back out on a play here. So you're going to have basically 4-on-5. I think your double teams here, 1-on-1 here, 1-on-1 here. So basically, if one of these three guys wins their matchup, the Jags are in trouble because the Jags are opting to go to 10 personnel, which we call that because you have one running back and you have 0 tight ends. So because you have 0 tight ends, you have no help blocking the edge rushers. Your running back's not helping. So if you can't provide 3 seconds in the pocket, you're in trouble. Okay? If we count it here, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. I mean, that's not enough time. And I mean, and Jawaan Taylor's been good. So I'm not going to get on him and blame him, but Jawaan Taylor's been good, but this play was not it. This play was not it. Tuggernut says the protection from Taylor has been so far this year has been so good this year. I don't think Trevor was expecting pressure from that side. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But again, that's 2 fumbles now that are getting chalked up to Trevor that I don't think are Trevor's fault. I just don't. Like, Jawan's worst game of the year so far, just bad timing, says Paraguay. Eagles right tackle shut Walker down, bigger man. Yeah, well, he's a good player. I mean, it's a good right tackle. I mean, that, you guys you're gonna kill me. I'm blanking on his name. Is it Jarrett Lane? Lane Johnson. Jarrett Lane. Good Lord. Lane Johnson. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, and now let's take a look at the interception. This is the interception that Trevor threw. Okay, not on here. Sorry. All right. This one here we haven't seen yet. Now this one again is going to be on Jawaan Taylor, but you tell me. You can definitely assign some blame to Trevor here, but is this necessarily the worst? I mean, is this all on Trevor? I mean, I know, Jawaan Taylor's there. Now, maybe Trevor could work on ball security here. I mean, I remember Minshew had a lot of ball security issues when he was playing quarterback. But, again, this is just not great protection. When you're an offensive lineman, you have to give your quarterback just a little bit more time. Now, the pocket's there. It's okay. But, I mean, gosh, you would love to see just a tad bit more protection. And if there was, then maybe Trevor doesn't fumble the ball here. And this is the last fumble. So, I don't know, man. It's just like, this was the fumble that basically cost us the game right there. So, they go to victory formation. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying Trevor had no blame at all, but I don't necessarily know if we can assign all 5 turnovers to him. The interception was bad. He telegraphed it. But, I would put 2.5 of the fumbles on the offensive line. I really would. Yeah, Trevor should have hit Agnew on the INT, yeah. Philip Butcher, we do have to worry about Derek Stingley Jr., though. He's an absolute stud. Derek Stingley has been playing really, really well. I mean, that's just definitely something that, look, he didn't play at all in his, in college. So, good for him. Was this the fumble that we missed? Oh, the interception's not on there. The NFL is kind of tricky sometimes. They won't show you everything, but that's okay. That's like a 3.2, 3.4 seconds on that last sec. That's wild. I'm not worried about the game, boys. I'm really not. Like, I think we're in a good position. And listen, one of the biggest things that gives me like hope about this team is that we're well coached. Like the talent on the team, I'm happy about. Like we're definitely getting play from players like Roy Robertson Harris, Rayshon Jenkins, Evan Ingram. We're getting play, Zay Jones. We're getting play from those guys that we weren't expecting. So I'm happy with the talent, but I literally think the coaching is the difference. I love Mike Caldwell. I love Doug Peterson. I really think that's the difference. And I think they're going to easily win against a game against the Texans at home. Philip Butcher says, per PFF, he has the 4th most passing yards against him this year and the 2nd most amongst rookies. Abdullah says, what's up, coach? What's up, man? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Philip Butcher says Stingley, that is, has the 4th most passing yards against him. Oh, well, Philip, we'll look into the PFF on Friday when we talk about the Texans game, all right? Just make sure y'all are here on Friday. It's going to be a good show. One thing I noticed, we hurt half the team's starters in games. Sometimes there's those years where you just always seem to be like hurting opposing players. Like Bosa's out for a long time because of us. Like it's weird. Hopefully we get Fatu Kasi back. Richmond Marooter says, also as Trevor, I'm sure you're not thinking your right tackle is going to let the edge get so close and allow his arm to get loose and smack the ball in about 3 seconds. So maybe it's time for the coaching staff, and I'm sure they will, and maybe it was something they should have done given the conditions, was have the running back stay in the backfield more, because did you notice on all of those fumbles besides the fumbled snap, the running back released out of the backfield and didn't block? So maybe you have, and ETN, one of the most underrated part about ETN's game is his ability to pick up the pass rush. It really is. Like ETN gets a lot of love in a lot of areas, but he does not get nearly the amount of love that he should on pass blocking. He really doesn't. And I don't know what his PFF grade is, but with my eyes, the eyeball test, he does pretty well. Base Mover says, I'm not worried about our team. Go Jags. Thank you, Base. Appreciate it. Richard Marooter, we also have to consider if we stay healthy, we are going to get better and sharpen up every game, and we're still a very fresh team. I think we could win some surprise games later on in the season. I agree. Tuggernut says, I think Agnew gets more offensive snaps. It looked like he was unstoppable out there. So that's one player that I think improved or showed his worth more was Agnew. But what we're starting to see is that Peterson can kind of plug anyone into that role and use them. Like whether it's Zay Jones or Jamal Agnew. We saw Tim Jones do it in the preseason. Like we're starting to see that, and that's why I kind of said I think I'm confident because of Doug Peterson, because he's plugging in dudes in his offense and it's working. I mean, plugging guys in. Who we drafted 32 in the spring? Probably a receiver. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Marvin Jones. Getting a little long in the tooth there. PFF grade for ETN to be continued. Sorry. When will ETN have his big play? I don't know. I mean, I think we got to remember this is essentially his rookie year. We also have to remember that he's behind one of the, I think, better running backs in the league. I mean, you guys would all say better running back, but I think he's one of the best running backs in the league because of his vision. I think he's in a good position for his career. Think about running backs and like their longevity. I think he's in a great position. He's behind a good back. He's playing the number 2. He's playing on a team that passes the ball a lot. I think his career set up well. But yeah, I think we would like to see a big play come from him. Thriller King says, I say we switch up Zay Jones and Jamal Agnew on 1 or 2 plays just to confuse the opposite defense. You may see that now. Didn't Agnew have a huge drop earlier in the season on that like deep route that was it the Commanders game that that Agnew had a huge drop on in the end zone? That might have given them a sour taste in their mouth for him, but maybe he earned it back here. Christian Peregrine, I think we really need to win the next two, though, both division games. I think we will. And we'll get to that. We'll preview. Let's not jump into the preview show just yet. I know y'all want to, but we will jump into that on Friday, okay? So set your calendars. I've been doing the shows a little bit earlier on Fridays just because people have stuff to do. We're going to do we've been starting around 8 or 8:30. So, mark your calendars, 8:30 p.m. on Friday. We're going to preview, do another live show. We're going to have film loaded up. Maybe I'll have a guest. Maybe I won't. We'll see how it goes. But definitely be looking for that. Dude, I want to give a huge shout out to Cameron Boisvert, who joined as a channel member. Thank you, man. I love the channel members. They're so awesome. Also want to give a big shout out to Philip Butcher, who donated $10 through Super Chat. Thank you, Philip Butcher. I appreciate it. We had subscribers during the show, all of that. I'm super excited about this team. I'm not letting this team, this loss get me down. Excited for this weekend. Like I said, I'll be there. If you're going to be there, besides Shay, I know Shay can't meet me. Everyone else, if you can be there, hit me up on Twitter. We'll get a beverage somewhere, have a good time, talk Jags. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Twitter channel. For those interested, my Twitch channel will probably have some action here soon in the next couple weeks because some things going on in my life that I'm pretty pumped about. So make sure to follow that and all that Twitch stuff. Thank you guys that were here. You guys know I love you guys. Pass on the kindness. Hey, here's a challenge for you, for those of you that are still here. Okay, we're an hour and 3 in. Here's a challenge. I know this is unlike me, and it has nothing to do with the Jags. I want you to go out of your way tomorrow to do something nice for someone you don't know. Okay, let me know how you feel on Friday. Out of your way, do something nice for someone you don't know. Let me know how it makes you feel. I will see you guys on Friday. Set your calendars, set your phone alarms, do something. I don't care what you do, but do something. I'll see you Friday night. And until then, as always,